What are our thoughts about a recent video that another company posted that kind of compared the weight distribution of an MVP disc to the other company's discs?
What's up, degenerates? It's the disc golf world. I'm Jefferson, breaking down MVP, addressing a controversy going around about gyro technology in their recent Gyropalooza Q&A. Every year since COVID, Brad and Chad have sat down answering questions submitted by the fans. One of the best forms of transparency from a disc golf company and a key reason for the strength of their fan base.
Welcome to the questions and answers segment of Gyropalooza. This is something I always enjoy. I like to look at everyone's feedback. What are the top requests of the year? In fact, a lot of the requests of previous questions and answers is how we prioritize a lot of our next developments.
Some might see this as a big advertisement for the brand, but for the gyro goobers out there, this is great pre-Christmas excitement. From explaining future projects, new disc releases, if different colors affect flight, pdga requests, and of course, clearing the air about a viral rumor. Unless you've already committed your life to the double rim frisbees, there's not a big reason to watch the full Q&A. But don't worry, I got you covered on all the things you need to know.
This particular development has a lot of technical leap in both the mold design as well as the plastic technology. Completely new plastic technology and a completely new mold design to achieve it. And the beam itself, the prototypes that had been out there that you saw at the Gyropalooza Fly Mart, they're kind of one of a kind because the design direction we're going is a completely different direction. But it'll make sense when the product is announced and revealed.
For those that like the beam, there might be some hope. I know Jay Milley is hyped.
With the beam in Gyro X, it's been basically our ability to push the limits on disc design, mold design, plastic technology, as well as the processing limits, expanding upon how we process all of these technologies. And so we're taking all these prototypes, all this testing, and we're honing in on a refined version, and we're getting closer than ever.
I'm impressed by MVP's process when finalizing a mold. At first, I didn't understand the 3 different prototype versions. I just chalked it up to a cash grab. Can you blame me? That's like half the industry. Now, I get that they are obsessed with achieving consistency, but on top of that, they need the disc to fly exactly the way they want before finalizing. Absolute no worries about starting over or being forced to go in a complete different direction. Going through multiple trials, tweaking as they go. More importantly, they took feedback and adjusted based on that, using not only their touring pros, but the fans to craft the exact tool they intended. The most cognizant manufacturer receiving direct feedback and making discs perfect before releasing to the public.
Electron Firm is already the firmest it can be to meet pdga guidelines for flexibility rating. Ironically, we have experimented with an extra firm at the request of our players, but they're only experiments. There will not be any stock releases unless the pdga changes its standards on the flexibility rating. If there's anything out there that's more firm than Electron Firm, it's probably not compliant with the pdga flex standards, but I personally would like to open up a public recommendation to the PDGA just to reevaluate this, just because it's a very common trend in the market. Some pros really like the firm putters. They just feel like they got better control with their release. And understandably, the flexibility rating is tied around safety and the disc flexibility. But when you look at the nose bluntness between like a putter versus a sharp-nosed driver, understandably a sharp-nosed driver, the flex test is very important for safety.
I'm too bad at putting and not smart enough to follow the logic behind needing more firm plastic, but if Brad and Chad say so, who am I to tell them no? PDGA, if you're listening, why not open the door for innovation? Let's see if firmer putters push the abilities of disc golfers. I think they're right to say the danger level is non-existent, so why not give it a try?
Internally, we've invested in some equipment to mathematically define the exact flexibility. The current standard is, you're flexing it on a food scale, and that works, but we really wanted to have a more concise way to measure disc flexibility, because when we're producing our discs and making new blends and changing weights or whatever it might be, we really wanted to have equipment specialized in defining the flexibility of the disc. At the end of the day, we're very proud that we now have a very concise way to measure flexibility, and that's just one of our steps to improving the quality and consistency of our discs. Prior to this equipment, it was a lot of hand feel, a lot of guesswork, and we really didn't like that, because if you had one flexibility that you liked and run to run, maybe it was a little bit different. That could, affect you downstream with performance. So we're just excited to invest in the equipment to make our products even better.
I don't know how someone measures firmness, but I got something you can test it out on. If it really pushes disc golf, I say send it. On the same topic, apparently MVP has something up their sleeve for the 2026 season.
What's the one thing you're most excited for in 2026? So actually there is something that we've been working on most of this year that we are very excited about. And it's unrelated to any sponsorship or any specific disc that we have in development. It's something that probably no one is expecting, and that's what makes it so exciting. I guess that's about where we'll leave it for now.
There's so many things we want to say about that, but we're just going to have to let that roll out and speak for itself.
You guys are going to have to wait till 2026 to see what that is.
If it's not about a sponsorship or existing mold, I truly don't know how game-changing this can be, but who knows? I'd love to be surprised. I just feel like every time something is positioned to be unexpected and will change the game, usually falls flat and making me hype. That's alright though, because this Friday, tickets open for Disc East presented by Paragon, Wade by Marshall Street. If you've never attended a Disc Golf Expo, it's an amusement park for us frisbee nerds, but better. I've been the past 2 seasons driving over 15 hours in a blizzard to get there, and it was worth it every time, even when I popped a tire on my way. This year, it will be taking place January 24th and 25th in Marlborough, Massachusetts, including the sport's top manufacturers, brands, creators, and even pros all under one roof, offering a weekend-long experience unlike ever before. If you're a vendor, stop thinking about going and sign up already. Big thanks to Disc Golf Expos for supporting the channel. Now, Discgenerates, what are you waiting for? Head over to discgolfexpos.com to join in on the best event of the entire offseason. Can't call disc golf your passion if you aren't at the legendary Disc East.
What will be the next big thing in disc technology? I personally think Gyro X is going to be the next big thing for us. In particular, the fact that it's such a extraordinary amount of tooling design as well as plastic design. The two things together really is probably the biggest technological advancement that we've done in recent years. I think that's going to be the next big thing in our distance driver lineup.
I really don't think that big thing revolves anything Gyro X related. That being said, it's supposed to push the concept of gyro even further, which now this brings up the controversy that MVP faced not too long ago. If you don't remember, let me jog your memory. You've probably heard about the new Discmania gyro thingy that has taken the community by storm. I could barely scroll through my feed without this so-called revolutionary plastic getting shoved down my throat. Discmania put out an ad for the new Q-Series technology, a redesigned weight distribution, and a new, denser plastic blend that aims to increase glide and distance, similar to other gyro technology concepts. Up to 10% of the disc's total mass is moved from the flight plate towards the outer rim, meaning it should allow the disc to spin longer, enhancing glide and theoretically adding more distance. Discmania essentially would be disputing the claim that MVP had more weight in their rims than other brands. Although not specifically naming each disc they tested, that was the job for Reddit.
An Axiom Neutron time-lapse, an Innova Star Destroyer, one of their own S-Line DD3s. This is a Discraft Force, most likely an ESP plastic, given that all the rest of these are premium opaque blends. And what they go on to show are these numbers. Their own DD3, along with 3 other brands, have between 73.1 and 74.9% of the disc's weight in the rim. And then we get the results of the Q-Line Premier DD3, which has 77.8% of the weight in the rim, at least 3.9% more than the 3 competitors. But again, what is this for? Well, it's for distance. More gyroscopic stability means the disc can stay aloft longer.
Like it changes how the flight happens and it goes farther.
That because they
and
do
again,
overmold.
That's the part. It changes the flight, makes it fade farther forward, makes it go farther. That part alone, that's not coming from MVP. The weight to the outside, gyroscopic, that comes from MVP. So I think that's an important delineation.
Which, to be fair, if you read their statement, all they say is they move more weight to the rim compared to what's in the flight plate, which they do. They never said they do more than any other company.
There's another science thing that I think that you might have to go deeper that people are claiming. This is where things are getting like, okay, how sciencey do we get science with it? I would imagine MVP is going to respond with a counter test.
Now, over a month later, Brett and Chad responded directly.
Kind of what are our thoughts about a recent video that another company posted that kind of compared the weight distribution of an MVP disc to the other company's discs? And I guess my initial impression is I'm quite skeptical. The video suggests that the flight plate thickness of a gyro disc is greater than 2 millimeters, but our millimeters show that isn't. Our measurements show that's not the case. So I suspect that the fact that they cut the flight plates out by hand, that is not providing a meaningful level of accuracy for weight distribution. So overall, just quite skeptical. But also along those lines, I guess along the thickness of the flight plate is where is that weight being redistributed? If it's coming out of the flight plate and going into the rim, you've got the inner rim and the outer rim, and obviously for the best moment of inertia, you want that weight in the outer rim, and only a gyro design can achieve that distribution to the outer rim, whereas a solo mold is more apt to concentrate that weight towards the inner rim. So even looking at the flight plate thickness aside, you got to look at moment of inertia instead of just the flight plate thickness.
Yeah, in other words, they have the right idea, but you have to look at the full picture of where the mass distribution really lies. Flight plate's a small component of the disc, whereas that rim that's where a lot of our mass shift is in our gyro technology. So we have this is just a very brief overview. We have a more formal approach on how to break this down from a technical standpoint. That'll be something we can look at in the future.
Yeah, we'll definitely be exploring this, and we'll be reporting on this more in the future.
I'm definitely not smart enough to know the science behind all of this. I just throw disc and be happy. But I'm glad that MVP is willing to release facts along with their products, because it feels like every new innovation is just met with, trust me, bro. Except for MVP. They got graphs and shit. It's kind of how I felt about color affecting discs, but they even got answers to that.
Technically there is an indirect correlation. Certain colors have certain processing conditions or properties that does affect the way a disc cools or shrinks.
At the end of the day, to answer your question, do colors affect the flight of a disc? And they certainly do. But thankfully, we're aware of that, and we do a pretty darn good job of combating that difference between colors with our processing.
Let us know in the comments how you feel about MVP addressing Discmania. For me, I think it goes one step further in how they treat gyronauts better than other companies in their fan base. They're willing to sit down and explain themselves in a cordial manner, and it often makes them come out looking like the good guys. Much better look than quickly trying to fix incorrect information online through Reddit forums. I just don't think there's ever a win debating in the comment section. Plus, the trend has always been disc golfers get mad at a certain topic until the next thing pops up a few days later. Then it's almost certainly forgotten about. Remember when everyone was collectively angry at Discraft for AI, and now you see it everywhere without anyone batting an eye? I respect that MVP took the matter in their own hands, waiting to address the situation in a fact-based manner instead of straight up saying, hey, this is a lie. This is just another example of how they've been able to grow so fast. And now it looks like they're expanding over the pond.
Do you have any plans to expand into Europe? So actually we have made some great progress on that in the last year and a half. We implemented a distributor program and have onboarded a number of distributors throughout Europe, and our international sales have grown significantly this year, much to the success of the program. So
securing the international market is important. As we continue to talk about, is disc golf dying? All the numbers are saying the pro scene may be suffering, but the sport as a whole is still growing steadily. Not only that, but in the perspective of the entire world, Frolf is on the rise. It was just this past year we were invited back into the World Games, the biggest stage our sport has been a part of. Also, think about Worlds in Finland. Being there in person, you saw the international presence. 47 different countries represented. way more than we've ever seen in the past. Think of the opportunities for companies if they took full advantage, and I think MVP sees this.
I guess the area where I'm really optimistic about the future of disc golf is the international growth. It's just exploding internationally, and it's by far our fastest growing area, especially in the EU, but even just all international levels of disc golf. So that's very promising, and in particular, what I'm looking at is why are those areas so successful with the growth of disc golf? And look at countries like Finland, where almost every school in Finland has disc golf, and so I think that's something that other markets want to take a look at, take note of, is the impact that can have for the long-term growth of disc golf. So we've already been doing a lot for schools here in the United States, and we do plan to be doing more for schools. I think that's going to be key for the growth of disc golf.
Multiple times in the Q&A, there were two main points reiterated: getting into the international scene and schools. Those conversations made me really appreciate the efforts put in by MVP, showing to me they truly care about the sport and its continued growth. Another positive was the focus on brick and mortars instead of selling all on their own fronts, supporting the game in the ways they can. These efforts go a long way and strengthen the brand image as a whole, specifically the school initiative, because that's how the game will transcend. When we get middle and high school students building the fundamentals early, that will create more future Gannon burrs. With that thought process, it would benefit a manufacturer getting their plastic baskets and all equipment possible into view for these potential lifelong discers. It's like how Innova has a stranglehold on the old people market. They got them attached early and haven't let go. Start that with a new generation, and gyro might become the mainstream. It's kind of already there, and I can totally see why. I'm not sure if I fully believe in the technology, but the mission behind the brand I get more and more impressed with the further I educate myself. Crazy concept, I know, but it feels like the moves MVP has been making over the past couple years has pushed them, but the sport as a whole too. Who knows, maybe they were the chosen ones and it all kicked off with the holy shot magic. That's all I got for you today. Drop in the comments how you feel about MVP addressing Discmania and the rest of the questions they answered. It's officially Discmas, which usually means a video every day from us, but this year life got real, so that won't be the case. Don't worry though, because you'll still get Disc Golf World daily, this time in short version, as we break down the top 32 players from 2025, so subscribe to not miss out on that. Don't worry, we'll still have some bonus videos coming at ya. So for real, press that big ass red button. What's the point of staying this long if you're not gonna do it? Seriously, what do you want me to do? Suck MVP's disc even more? Ain't gonna happen.